Good evening. Welcome to the 478th meeting of the Penfield Historic Preservation Board. We'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. We start with approval of the minutes from the February 3rd meeting, and we do have a quorum, I believe. So do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
And a second. Any comments, corrections, edits? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Minutes are approved. We have no public participation. Go down to the action items for certificate of appropriateness. 2 meetings ago, we were visited by Bill Blake, who was requesting approval to make the alterations at 1880 Blossom Road, the Daisy Flour Mill. And we went through that, and we discussed that there was no objections to any of them. We couldn't approve it because the town board hadn't met. They met last night and made the approval. I confirmed with Shannon that they were approving the same documentation that we did, so we don't need to go back through it unless somebody has a concern or something from the last time. So we need to make our formal approval. Now, in the meantime, Shannon had sent the letter with our approval and the conditions that we wanted considered to the board, and that was all taken care of. So we need a formal approval tonight. So if there aren't any comments, can I have a motion
I'll make the motion.
and a second?
I second.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It's, that also is unanimous. So let's move on to informational items. We have 4 listed here. The first one being the Verizon Telecommunications tower that we also had discussed at a previous meeting, and Shannon prepared a draft of the concerns of the board, which she shared with me, and we had some edits back and forth. And Shannon, can you give us an update on that?
Sure. So the planning board met and discussed this project back on February 10th. So I'll just provide a quick summary of what was discussed during their meeting. So the property which is being proposed for the project of the Verizon cell tower, so the property is owned by the Penfield Fire District. I know we weren't quite sure where that landed exactly. So this project has been ongoing in the planning stages with the representing company since 2015. So they have been working on this for quite a long time, working through exactly where it should be placed, why it needs to be placed there, so on and so forth. So according to the representative at the meeting, they have exhausted all of their options and locations for the tower. They stated there is a need and a significant demand in this specific area for a stronger signal. The towers currently serving this area are actually mostly in East Rochester, so that's why there are some weak signals in that area, apparently. So the planning board requested documentation showing that the other locations have been exhausted, evaluations of those other properties, things like that. And then, let's see here. So the board was also requesting potential designs for the tower, either camouflage or different options on how it could look so that they can best make sure it fits that location. Let's see. So, and then these will likely be conditions of approval when it comes time. The board also requested renderings of the view shed, which was something that we brought up. So they will be looking into that and seeing what the tower will look like from different angles and streets and things like that. Let's see. So there is no proposed landscaping since it will be in the parking lot, and they are intending to add an 8-foot fence around the tower. They will also need to go to the zoning board for a use variance. Cell towers do have slightly different regulations, so it does make a high likelihood of approval, just simply for legal reasons, from what I understand at least. So I'm not exactly sure when the follow-up will happen, since the planning board did ask for quite a bit of information from the applicant. So the planning board's next meeting is March 10th. And obviously, I'll keep you guys updated as we move along there, but just wanted to prep you guys on what the planning board talked about during their discussion, but it does seem like they're being, they're really looking into it and making sure that everything has been done exhaustively and appropriately by the applicant.
Yeah, I was able to watch the video, and I would agree with what Shannon said. There were a lot of questions, a lot of good questions about the location, the camouflaging, et cetera.
As an aside, how do you camouflage a tower?
Well, the
Just-
ones that
I've
I've
never-
seen, they try to make them look like a tall pine tree.
Yeah, that was discussed. I think that they decided that wouldn't work in that particular location, simply because if you just have one really tall tree, that would look funny. But they did talk about just making it be very simple, like similar to like a street light pole. Obviously, it's a lot taller than that. But apparently with modern technology, there's a lot of other things that you can do. Maybe cell towers that you haven't even noticed for that same reason. During the meeting, it was discussed that there's either a Walgreens or one of those types of stores in Penfield with a tower on top of it that it serves as a flagpole as well as a disguise. And I didn't even know it was there, and a lot of the people, the board members, didn't know either. So something along those lines to try and camouflage it, whether that be you can't see it at all or disguise it as something else, I think is what they were hoping for as far as examples.
We do live close to the city of Rochester, where we celebrate the Liberty Pole.
So procedurally, it goes back to planning. That's the next step, and then they'll do their thing, and then it will go to zoning.
I believe so, yeah. I think it might be a similar situation where like one of them has to approve first and then follow up, but it seems like the planning board is taking the lead on this project, and then the zoning board will also be involved.
Okay.
Yeah, can I ask, did any of you receive a communication from the State Historic Preservation people? Okay. That they were looking into?
Yeah, they reached out to Kathy directly.
So that's something that, is the planning board, talking on that level too, that you want to
They
make
didn't
sure
discuss that during their meeting. We did provide a memo with the historic board's concerns for the project. I'm not sure if that documentation was actually passed along to them, but I'll make sure it gets to them before their next
the
meeting.
one from SHPO. That's
Yeah, yeah, I'll make sure that they get that.
What's
I
it
So
didn't-
can that be shared with our board?
I think
Yeah, I mean,
that,
who sent it to me was Debbie. For some reason, I don't know, maybe because she was liaison before me.
I thought that
She
that
received
was
it.
shared. No?
No?
Guys,
I don't know.
So
News.
SHPO wanted to know if there was any renderings done, and Verizon had done what do they call it, a balloon release or something?
Right, they
These
do
big
that.
orange balloons that would be at the same height, and they took pictures from different angles.
Right. They
You
just
can
said,
not only see it from the 5-mile district, you can see it from the district on Penfield Road too, which I hadn't even thought of before, but some of them were taken across the street from the Baptist church, and you could see it behind there too, so.
yeah, I'll forward this to you, but it's just a comment here. It said, "We are concerned with the visibility from the adjacent historic district. Please provide a simulated image of the proposed tower from the historic church with no leaves on the tree." That was their,
Well, I sent the 3 or 4 photographs that were taken that included part of the church.
So that came from SHPO? And what is their authority in
The
this?
request did, yeah.
yeah.
Do they have authority in this?
Somehow they knew about it, probably because it was going before planning board.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
just-
that's how we found out about it in the first place, before it was even brought to the planning board.
Yeah.
So,
Years ago, they wanted to install a tower near a library. Was it ever installed? You don't?
I
No.
don't
So
know.
this would be instead of that, instead of it. Yeah, because we didn't approve it. I mean, it came before us, and we did not, think the location was appropriate, or it was appropriate in that location. Maybe that was 10 years ago, long time
I
ago.
don't remember that.
I remember that.
All right, well, we'll get that to the board, just so that we have it for information.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. Okay, the next item is the Penfield Historic Preservation Appreciation Day. I left this in the agenda just as a reminder, just to keep this top of mind. I know Shannon had made some calls. I don't know if there's anything new to report there.
No,
Nothing?
I don't have anything new. I mostly left it just because, Tom, you weren't at the last meeting, and I didn't know if anyone had anything else to add, just more thoughts or anything, just to keep it in mind.
Okay. Yeah,
A question, did we pick a date for that?
We didn't, we just said October. We didn't pick a date for it yet.
I did speak to Joan Bell Jr. about this. She has made some contacts to the people that she worked with years ago, who she had some ideas that they would share with us, but I haven't been able to debrief with her, and then I'll try to get Kathy and myself together with her on the phone in the next couple of days. 86 Mountain Road, which was listed on the New York State Register a couple of months ago. We got a letter, the town got a letter from the New York State Parks and Rec and Historic Preservation Office that it is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's just an FYI. I did get a copy of that letter. If anybody cares to see it, we can share that. So Kathy, are you the keeper of the formal list of properties? And
Yes, and I got a letter also, and I started a file for that property. Now, that's not a local designation.
Right, which is something that I actually was just about to bring up. We talked about it very briefly, but I just wanted to follow up with everyone if that was something that we wanted to follow up with the homeowners on, if they were interested in local designation. It can be assumed that they would be because they were just listed on the state and national registers, but I just wanted to ask everyone if that's something you guys want me to do, reach out to the homeowners and ask them if they're interested in being locally designated as well.
Good idea.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I remember I brought that up, and I guess the only question would be whether that's totally redundant to do that.
I think in retrospect, it is mostly redundant, but I mean, the process is fairly straightforward, especially because the work is already done from the state and national register submissions. But it's up to you guys if you want me to reach out to them or if we think it's unnecessary.
The only thing is, it does add a layer of protection,
Right.
because I know the house across the street from me does not have local designation, and nobody's protected it,
Right.
and it's gone downhill drastically, and
Yeah.
all sorts of bizarre things have happened to it, so.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good way to, just keep the houses in check and kind of make sure that they're doing their due process and coming before us and before they make any changes.
All right, then let's make that inquiry to them.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And then the last thing on our informational items, 1129 Empire Boulevard, the former site of Macgregor's. And you said you'd had some conversation with them?
Yes, so the owner, Clark Crook, he is the business owner of Bar Bills, which is the new restaurant and bar that is hopefully going into Macgregor's. They have other locations in the Buffalo area. And before he left, Jim spoke to Clark about possibly designating the property. He did express some interest. So I reached out to Clark directly, provided him with some information to feel out his level of interest. He asked for like pros and cons. We don't necessarily have a list like that, but I was able to provide him with some information on what the process is, what local designation means, how it's important, things like that. So I did send him an email with all that information. He replied and said, thank you for the information. It's very helpful, but hasn't followed up with me since. So I just asked him, if he has any decisions to let me know just so we can kind of close it out or proceed as necessary. But no follow-up as of yet.
Does he have approvals from the town to open the business there?
He has gone before the town board just to present. I don't think it's been officially ruled on yet. Is that
We
correct?
haven't had a public hearing yet.
Right, okay.
It hasn't gone that far. He just came to work session, said what he wanted to do. We said it was warranted to go to public hearing, so it has to go through that, and then, if we decide to approve it or not. So probably he's not ready to do any of this until he knows if he's got approval to.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely some steps before that. So, yeah, just mostly letting him know that we're interested in locally designating it if he is. But yeah, he's got a lot of other stuff on his plate before he gets to that point. So not surprising that he hasn't let us know yet.
Kathy, I forgot, I think you told us before, what's special about that building?
Well, that was an old inn and hotel
Okay,
a long time ago.
okay.
1850s?
Yeah, there's one that shows on the map 1850s. I'm not certain if that's the same building, but we know it was there at least late 1800s,
Okay.
the same building, and it was a stop on the Rochester-Sodus Bay Railroad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so. it's
Thank
pretty-
you.
Okay, and the other things on the agenda, held items, other business, old business, new business, we have none listed. So we will adjourn to an executive session unless there's any other items. Okay, we have a motion for adjournment,
So moved.
I second.
and a second. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
I feel bad doing